Yeah, where are all my people in the madhouse? I'll be a guide, climb aboard and sit your ass down. Don't worry, there's no need to fear when you hear. You know we're right here. We got the crew and we're ready for a game time. You're not ready to step inside a deranged mind. Yeah, this is what you came here for. We got machinima news and fuck yous. It's the goddamn ward.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Wardcast. Every Monday we bring you the latest in video game news, talk about survival horror, machinima, and what's going on at the Ward. I'm one of your hosts, Shaun Clark, alongside Jazz Rich.
Sup.
Alec Funnell.
That last guy was so full of crap. Everyone knows women are made from sand.
And Dante Comstock. You think it's a game? Maybe I do.
Well, it's not a fucking game. Fuck what you heard.
Okay. So there are some sensitive topics that constantly pop up here on the Wordcast. Equality, discrimination, pushing agendas and influence. These are kind of a growing part of life, and they run rampant on the internet, of course. As video games continue to grow and become a part of more people's lives, these things intersect more and more frequently, and that's reflected in the podcast. It seems to come up pretty often. So I say this because I find myself being one of the few people that kind of stand up on the other side of things. Not the asshole side, not the like racist bigot side or anything, but like on the side that stand up and speak up about equality. When I see people complaining about like every little thing when it comes to like LGBTQ and gender equality and things like that, there's always some kind of like outrage on how society isn't accommodating and we demand change and all this. Like, this gay character isn't being portrayed correctly, or this girl got fridged over, for this male protagonist. Games shouldn't have male or female options because I don't identify as either one of those things. And then you have the flip side where people bitch about like, oh, there's a female on the cover of Battlefield or whatever. Like, it comes from all over the place. But these people are simply complaining about things that typically offend them on a personal level, some of which are completely unreasonable, which should be looking, we should be looking at the bigger picture. What's equality for everybody? How do we make everybody feel normal and accepted? Like, that should be the concern. When you put a character in a game, that character should be judged on whether they're a good character or not celebrating or hating on the fact that the character is gay or trans or black or white or whatever, right? It should be cool character, yes or no. Equality, that's what equality would be. Now, the reason I bring this up is twofold. First, just to address the fact that these issues do pop up often on the podcast, and that's not my doing. I don't bring these up because I enjoy talking about it. I dislike it quite a bit. It's just a sign of the times, so it comes up a lot. That's not my personal, goal is to speak about these things as often as I can. I just feel like that might be the perception because it does come up so often, but I just wanted to clarify that. But it's in the news all the time, and I don't think it should be in the news. We should be above that, and just the things that keep coming up are fucking stupid. And secondly, I saw this article titled 9 Characters That Help Bring Blackness into Games. And I couldn't help but feel like that just sounds weird. Like, in any context, if it were 9 characters that brought whiteness into games, like, it just makes me feel weird. If I saw an article like that, which included my race, that was like speaking to me and I felt that way, I would feel less included and more separated from the norm. And that shouldn't be the goal. Like, isn't the goal to get everyone on a level playing field, for everyone to feel included and normal? How can an article like that bring us down that path? Something like that it's singling you out as a person or as a race. And that's how can that make you feel normal? Like, am I crazy?
No, I get it. Because, me and Alex were watching this video on YouTube recently, and about snowflakes and how they get offended by literally anything these days. And it's just like, what we both agreed on is like, literally people just should not give a shit so much. Just like, let it go. Do normal things, and then that's how people get past things. Exactly. You guys all know about me. Everyone that's listened to the podcast is like, is he gay?
Are you? What?
Oh my God! Get off the podcast.
Oh my God! Alan, gay. We have to celebrate it. There's a gay guy on the podcast.
Let's throw a party.
Talks
Woo!
about dicks so much.
It's like, and whenever these things come up, like gay pride and all that kind of bollocks in video games, I'm just like, I don't give a shit. It's fine, good. Add more stuff to it. Just, as you were talking about last week about the two gay guys that's
Persona
to be taken whatever, to be taking a shit out of one of the kids or whatever, I don't know. That's fine. They just identify as gay, but they don't have to. The whole gay thing doesn't have to be the whole character arc behind them. The whole character bit that's offending people is that just happen to be gay. It's like, that doesn't matter. Just get over it. It's fine. Include more people.
And you could even
when I was
look
playing
at
The Sims 4.
What about The Sims 4?
The Sims 4. I was playing The Sims 4, and I could identify my sim as a male, and he could be pregnant. And I'm just like, okay, fine, whatever. I was like, can you choose it to pee standing up or whatever?
But like things like that, the whole Atlas thing with Persona, if you're going to talk about something like that, you could look at that either way. You could look at it like, oh, well, that's not my ideal way of how somebody like me should be perceived. It's okay to feel that way. But also you could look at it and be like, well, they're also trying to be more inclusive, right? They're like, there was a point in time where you would never see anything like this happen. Like nobody would even want to touch that. But now it's coming up more and more often that you're starting to see this in video games, and that's good, And if you don't personally like that, that's okay. But like, why not be positive about that and be like, hey, well, this is cool that they're doing this, and you could voice your opinion in a positive way, and try and steer things in a direction that you like that way. But for you to just be outraged and be like, oh, this is fucking homophobic and bullshit, and they're stereotyping these people, like calm the fuck down. It's just, you're not. It's
like there's no evil gay person in the world. Right, bollocks. I'm fucking evil.
You're the worst one.
Yeah.
Right. So on the one, obviously the few cases of Atlas that I remember would be one with the Catherine one, and then there's the Persona 5 one that you guys were just recently talking about. I actually saw news about it on Censored Gaming, which is where I usually just take a look at whatever regional changes happen throughout the world. And I was starting to look into more of that news since you guys brought it up, and that one's a little trickier. It is kind of just like, there is still that whole it shouldn't really be like they're going through as much censorship, but at the same time, there's two things about it. Forget about the part where the guys are gay or whatever. The other struggle is the matter of fact that these are like adults, that they were coming after these, younger teen boys kind of thing. On that retrospect, I feel the change is, just a little tad bit more justified, I'd say.
That's the thing, though. That article turned into being about them being gay. Like they took that, they latched onto that, and that's where the articles went. Where in reality, the focus should have been on, hey, why are we writing characters that are predators, against like fucking children? They're why are we going that way? We shouldn't be, having these adults pursue children in a sexual way. That's creepy and fucked up. That is something we should talk about and look at, because that's just fucked up. That's something you shouldn't be doing. But nobody's talking about that. They're talking about the fact that they're gay, and that's where all the focus
they're being represented that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But nobody should be represented that way. Nobody should act that way. Nobody should be trying to seduce children. That's wrong. It doesn't matter who the fuck you are.
I think the other, in the flip side for like Catherine's case, this was more of the fact as we mentioned before, Catherine was the issue of the third Catherine, the Rin character, finding out that she or he is trans because they got a ding dong. whoops, that spoiler, there's some genitalia, and Vincent's reaction wasn't exactly positive towards it. And, the fans had a really, outrage moment on the whole thing because of like, oh, is that how you're going to treat us kind of thing, kind of similar to the whole speculum. But it's part of, the struggle of the culture. Yeah, of course, there's not a lot of people that can agree with what's going on, but at the same time, it's still possible for positivity to come out of it, because I'm pretty sure there wouldn't be this whole freak out and not a good ending to be accepting this person anyways, despite what they are. So fans were just freaking out more of that initial reaction as opposed to what you can still make out of it in the game, despite the fact that Rin has whatever, you could still love them kind of thing in Catherine's case. So that comes to the whole,
so you can actually pursue that Catherine
yes,
in a romantic way.
Yes.
See, is that in the news? Nope.
No.
Not at all.
Even the voice actress herself was like, guys, I know this sounds wrong, but you got to take the look at the bigger picture kind of thing.
And that's a different thing in Japan entirely too. You have to understand.
Yeah, their culture is severely different. They have a different way of carrying themselves. There was in the Persona 5 news, one of the I don't remember if it was the writer or director, somebody related to the team, because the news was reaching to their shores about the change. He's face palming himself, like, what would you think about with Shin-chan, our children's cartoon, which had two gay guys that were pretty awkward, but it was used in a comedic sense kind of style,
Mm-hmm.
that's their culture, that's part of their humor. I know it doesn't conform to our now highly sensitive and highly censored culture, but that's just what it was. And I don't know, there's just there's a Taylor Swift song that will always describe my feelings on this at the end of the day. It's "You need to calm down," because everyone's just being too loud about everything.
Yeah, and I haven't seen that particular scene or anything, but that reaction could apply to anything. That could be a gay person coming on to a straight person, or a straight person coming on to a gay person, whatever, where you're just not interested in that kind of person, and you thought, they were something that they weren't, and you're just like, oh shit, what the fuck? This isn't what I thought I was getting into. It doesn't have to be about that. It could be about that, and if it's singling that out specifically, and it's putting a focus on that in a negative light, then that's a conversation there. But I think we're never even going to see that. We're not even getting to the point where that becomes a conversation, because it just instantly becomes this laser sight focus on, oh well, it's anti-gay, or it's whatever. We're just not getting to the point where we're allowing ourselves to have the conversation where we can move past this and it can become something that's normal and accepted, and then all this goes away. We're not allowing ourselves to get to that place.
No, we're living in a really awkward time where we're going back. We strive so much for freedom of everything, that now that we've got so much freedom, now we just need to censor a lot of things so we could all feel nice and safe.
In that too. We're so free that we're trying to censor ourselves so much. It's like we're trying to push back. Now that we have all this freedom, we don't want it. we're taking it away from ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So stupid.
There is a limit to how free we can get, because like I said, you can go off the walls just too far on certain subjects and talks that you feel like, okay, what are you doing? This is a little tasteless now. Then there's also just okay, it's there, but it's not that bad. Don't freak the fuck out kind of shtick. So it's a weird time we live in.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that that stuff doesn't exist. Of course it does. There's racism. There's homophobia. There's discrimination. All those things are real, and they're out there, and there are people that are like that. But that doesn't just automatically make everything default into those categories if it doesn't immediately align with your beliefs or how you feel. You need to take a step back and look at it for what it is, analyze it, and then go from there and have a conversation about it, especially if you truly want equality. that's how you have to approach it, or we're never going to get there. You know, whether we're tipping the scale in either direction, whether we're celebrating all the time or we're hating all the time, both of those are not great. Like, I understand the concept of trying to celebrate something and how you can get on board with that, and there's good to it. But if you truly do want equality, you know, you need to take that back at least somewhat, because if you're calling people out, whether it's positive or negative, right? You're putting, like, some people don't even like to have the spotlight on them. So, like, for people like that, it's got to feel really awkward. And like I said, just the way that article spoke to me, like, I'm not black, but if I had been, or if that was aimed at me personally, that would just make me feel weird. Like, the way it's phrased, the way that it looks, it just seems weird. Why's it got to be about this specific category of people? You know, why can't it just be about people? Like, why are you calling me out? You know, you're separating me and making me feel different. That's not good. You shouldn't feel weird. You shouldn't feel different. You shouldn't feel separated. You should feel normal.
It's kind of like how I deal with in my, you know, Filipino culture, that we're really prideful about, you know, whether someone is Filipino or not, and they're high up there, and I'm just like, that's great.
Culture that
yeah.
You know, that makes it hard. I get that.
Right.
Something's got to give. Yeah.
Yeah, something's got to give, and I'm just like, okay, it's great. That's just really my standpoint whenever they try to do that.
Well, so how do you feel like if you were to see that article and it was about Filipino characters specifically, how would you perceive that? Is that something that you personally would see in a negative or a positive light? I
would probably cringe just a bit. That's kind of just my initial reaction, because I'm just like, God, really prideful. And pride's a deadly sin. That's just my initial thought. So that's why it's kind of like, I'm not hating against Filipino pride. I just think, you know, it's pride, which is, you know, it's a deadly sin. It's a form. I don't know. I'm not for that. You know, I just don't like people who try to put themselves like above everybody else. That's just my shtick. I like everyone realizing that we're all the fucking same. We all stand on the same ground. Don't put yourself higher than anybody. That's just my shtick.
Yeah, I don't even think it necessarily has to be about putting yourself above anybody else. I mean, that's out there too.
Right.
But for me, it's more of just like the separation. You know, it's the fact that you're separating yourself from the quote unquote norm. You know, even if it is in a positive way, you know, you're celebrating, hey, black characters, these are cool black characters, or whatever. I understand the meaning behind it and what you're trying to do, and I can appreciate that, and there's some good there, but you're still putting that out there. You're still implementing that separation. And it feels weird. It's not right. That's the wrong thing to do. The conversation is about, you know, making everybody equal. Equality. That's the term that gets thrown around. When you do any kind of separation like that, you're stepping away from equality and you're turning it into something else, whether it's in a positive or a negative light. Jess.
Hello.
Do you have any feedback? I don't know why I turned into Brandon, but I did. Hello.
Brandon. I don't know.
If you don't, that's okay. I don't want to put you on the spot.
I do agree that it's stupid to single out like specific people when there's not really any need for it, like you said. Like if it's, you know, if they're praising the game, that's all they need to do, but they don't need to praise the game for singling out, I don't know how to say it. Yeah, equality.
And when we get to the point where we're just talking about whatever, the medium, the movie or the video game or whatever it is, and it's just talking about the story and the characters, and we're not throwing around races and genders and preferences and all these different things, whether it be positive or negative, then we're there. You know, we made it. Equality. There, you know, we're not pointing any of these things out. It's just a person and a character doing things, being a human being. Boom. Yeah. Let's get there. That's all I'm saying. I just don't like seeing all these fucking articles that are just very counterproductive, and 90% of the time is a negative thing anyway.
And once again, we start with a positive note on the podcast. Yay!
Hey, it's the goal is to get to a positive place, even though it's coming from a negative. We're trying to flip it around, okay? Now we can get into the podcast where I bitch and complain about everything else that bothers me in video games.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Back to your regularly
Also,
scheduled
not my
program.
fault. Okay.
Wow. Shift
Hey.
this responsibility or blame.
Fine, it's a little bit my fault. But I want to like video games, everybody. I just... Stupid digital. Alec, how was your week?
Don't.
I just don't.
You can like video games. You just have to play them.
Alec, how was your... You know what? Fuck you, Jazz. How was your week?
Oh, shit.
No. Get Alec.
Oh.
Okay, so my week, I got my full platinum of the year.
It's a fucking Pong.
Damn
No,
it.
I beat without escape.
Excuse me, what?
Without escape.
Is that another indie title game?
Escape.
It's another point and click title. Yay!
God.
You
Oh my
bastard.
god.
So you have none.
Are you
Okay,
ever going to
gotcha.
play a real game?
Well, Sean.
It's coming up. It's coming up.
Okay.
Okay.
But yeah, so this game you just essentially just point and click where you have to try to escape the house. But after doing X, Y, and Z, you ended up talking to God or some alien somehow. You know, I don't know.
God or some
It-
alien?
Is it the House of the Dead?
It would have been a better game, but
Whoa. Ow.
Those are...
yeah.
Wow.
Ouch.
That's
Alec.
brutal.
You shot my weak points.
Reload.
Oh. Anyways.
I got my fifth platinum.
Where? What?
It's called Milo's Quest. You are a dog that kills ghosts that look a little like the Super Mario ghosts.
Oh.
And you're able to wear gloves and glasses and
Alec,
yeah.
they're called booze, and you would know that if you played real games.
Oh, damn.
Hell.
Oh, hell. Yeah.
Cheater.
I walked into that one. That's fine. I could take that one. That's fine.
Probably got a trophy for walking into it too.
Instant platinum.
I got my sixth platinum.
What?
Alex out of the race. He's done.
Oh my god. How many of these platinum are indie games?
All of them.
Well, it's my last platinum of this week, so there we go. So I finally beat Goat Stimulator.
Stimulator? Oh no. That's the wrong kind of game. I'm pretty sure that's illegal.
That's a different one, yeah.
The last trophy to get was the goat. Was the Flappy Goat trophy. We had to get through 10 kind of pillars, and that took me about, I don't know, combined about 13 hours.
Shit.
Okay, sure.
So, and it is literally known as one of the most hardest ones to do. So I'm like, yeah, do you know what? It's an indie game, but fuck you, I did it all by myself.
Oh, put his big boy
yeah.
pants on.
Yeah, I got my big knickers on because of gender and equality. Knickers, yeah.
No. God damn it, Alec.
I played Steins Gate. It's another point and click.
It's a really good visual novel point and click.
Yeah, I just pressed the skip button, so I have no idea.
Ow!
Wait,
Ow!
you're skipping the story in a game that is only story. Okay. All right.
Alec, you're missing out on the greatest time traveling fucking nonsense extravaganza.
I could be, but if I wanted to play a story game, I'd just play Metal Gear. At
Well,
least that's more fun.
wow. At least watch the anime. Just
Look, the only reason why I got Steins Gate is because actually I bought it for Lee as a Christmas present, and he hasn't played it, so I stole/borrowed it. So just trying to get through.
wow. I can't believe your ass right now. You were defiling one of my favorite animes. One of them.
But yeah, I played House of the Dead Overkill.
Yeah, now we're talking about real games.
Did you platinum it?
I did not platinum in it, so it's some of my things to do.
But he's at least getting motherfucking started on it.
Finally promoted to big boy games.
I also played The Forest. Got some more trophies. And saved it.
Oh my god.
On like day 15 at the moment, so it's like, yeah, take that shit. And save the goddamn ship.
I want to play that game.
You should play it again, but just save the goddamn game.
It's hard for me. I have a problem, okay?
You don't get a trophy for not saving, Sean. This
But
isn't
it
a Resident Evil game.
You gotta go back to camp, and you gotta go into the thing and say save, and it's gotta load, and blah, blah, blah.
Look, if you did Conan,
Wow.
you could do The Forest.
If
Conan
you're
is
so...
a pain in the ass.
Anywhere. It doesn't have to be your home.
Sean,
you
if
gotta
you
go to
complain
camp.
about loading...
There's save points. You can't save whenever.
No, you can save at any of those little tents that you find.
Yeah.
Where you can spend the night.
Well, you say that like they're everywhere, but they're not.
They are.
Yeah.
We were right at the entrance of a cave where you died. But it's
Sean,
okay.
if you have a problem with loading, maybe you should invest in the PlayStation 5.
Oh, fuck you.
Anyway, I have now started the season 10 of Smallville, and what the fuck is with the anticlimactic ending of season 9? I mean, it's just
Garbage.
season 9 was showing us how terrible Zod's people were going to be in the future, and yet when it comes to the end of season 9, it's like only for Zod to disappear thanks to a crest. That's it.
I think
Thanks
they
for
just gave
coming.
up, honestly.
It's like now Lois knows. It's like, oh, okay. I'm not sure that was canon, but hey, yo.
It feels like they just threw it all together in like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, it's
Yeah.
the end? Fuck. I guess we'll do this, and I guess we could do that.
Yeah, I mean,
Did you want to know my secret identity?
I do.
Is it Batman?
We did it. We got Batman back.
Yeah, good. After watching that, I mean, I understand why everyone's feeling pretty. It's hotter than July. Though the world's full of problems, they couldn't touch us even if they tried. From the park, I hear rhythms. Marley's hot on the box. Tonight there will be a party on the corner of the end of the block. I didn't know you would be jazzing it until the break of Shaun.
What? Jazz, how was your week?
Can't follow that. Just
Good.
kidding. My week was short. I didn't really play anything. I don't think I watched anything new. Yep, it was very unproductive. I didn't work on anything. That's not true. I played Resident Evil 6 with Diz. Yeah, that's all I played.
And that was rough to watch.
Oh my god.
Wow.
So, Sean, you know how I am in that fucking game. Well, we made Sean to watch.
They were playing on no hope, and I was starting to lose hope.
Were we playing on No Hope?
I don't remember.
I can't
Probably.
remember. I think we were.
You guys are insane.
But the
Wait
thing
till you
is,
see
like,
that
me and
LP.
Diz are
Whoa.
very, very bad at doing things.
It might be hard to see that LP, Sean.
No, it's not that we're bad. We're just very dumb.
Shit. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if Jazz was anything to go by, I can expect a lot.
What?
Of how silly, dumb things will get in that LP.
Oh, it was pretty much the same, like just us kicking each other.
My
for
God.
hours and being dicks.
Great.
Yeah. I didn't play any dumb indie games, so I didn't get any platinum this week.
They're not dumb, they're very important to indies.
To
I've been,
cheesing it.
I've been playing Claire and Savior's Gang, but not like enough to do any damage with the trophies. And I'm trying again to do Tomb Raider. Can't find a turkey, so I can't get that fucking turkey trophy.
Google.
Turkey. No, that's cheating.
That's what I do.
Yeah, that's Alec talk.
Oh.
Yeah.
None of that. Yeah, that was pretty much my week. I did nothing and
And
Got
nothing
nowhere.
did you.
Whoa.
Whoa.
next.
Dante.
Me. Well, my week has been pretty alright, you know. Nothing too crazy. I did play Resident Evil 6 with Diz after Jazz was done. Because, I don't know, she convinced me to do it. So, we played, and I finally played Resident Evil 6 after 5,000 years. And, it was refreshing to know.
Sounds like a Kingdom Heart game.
No, wow. Resident Evil 6, 5,000 years. No, I still got the moves. I still got all my tricks and tips and tricks and tits and tips. So it was really, yes. So it was really good to know that I still got it. I don't know if we want to talk about the stuff we did. Should I save that for updates?
I don't think we're doing updates because I asked you guys and nobody said jack shit, so I assume nobody had updates.
What? Am I jack shit?
What?
Am I jack?
You didn't respond either, bitch.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I said I do.
Okay, updates. Do your updates here.
Fuck. Okay, fine. All right. So then, Shaun and I have been watching our machinima as of late. Since Sunday, we did one Monday and then we did one Friday. You know, he built a little playlist. We watched all of his Days of Our Lives and some of his old machinimas, his OG ones, his music videos, and we watched fucking the Devil May Cry and the Resident Evil 4 after his was playing out, so that we saw like how many love letters I wrote to him in my Resident Evil 4 spood. And then once we caught up with like everything that he had, I put on the first original 3 episodes of Resident Evil 4 spood, and I wanted to die. I've never craved death so bad until I watched the 2010 rendition of the first 3 episodes, and we saw the evolution of how some of that stuff got turned into the final product, but God, was it cringy. And he got to hear my shitty Shaun impersonation. And now that whenever I bring it up, he can't unhear it when I bring it up. Like, even in text, it's just there, and I'm just like, eh. So, yeah, that's most of what we've been watching. And I think Resident Evil 6 was the only gaming I got done. And then for Spood stuff, I got the Spood cast up with Shaun. We did the Spood cast on the same week you guys did at Wardcast 74. And
Brought a Q-tip.
He brought a Q-tip to dismantle a bomb and got us fucking killed.
I was 30% sure that was going to work.
No, the dice was in favor of everything else. Because we did the improv was do our dice. So basically we did improv, but we brought D&D dice. So whatever we did, we needed to roll the dice first. And Alec was the one who suggested the bomb disabling one. So thank you, Alec. Thank you for... You're the one who suggested for the improv situational thing of the...
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for actually being the only person who has suggested something, so I didn't have to come up with something. And then I am re-rendering the My Restless Nightmares 2 bloopers, because I realized I was missing improv segments from Austin when he was going off about balls. And then Lindsay, she had a lot of actually audible dialogue from when James was killing her. And I actually wanted that to make it in there because there was like some shit she said, like, my mother warned me about you. So that's being rendered right now as we speak, and that's going to get uploaded. In terms of starting new shit, I lied. I did play another game. I played Silent Hill 3 because I was still a little high off of the Silent Hill 2. So I was playing that. I played it on hard so I could, I don't know, get a health bar on the screen. And then I played it again through easy. I'm trying to accomplish 333 kills so I can get the Heather Beam, because I know I want to use the Heather Beam and the Heather fucking Sailor Moon costume or whatever in the Spood.
You have to.
Yeah,
It's not even a question.
So I played through that on easy, and I just basically did what I called a speed gun through that game. So I played it on easy, and I played with easy riddle, and got to see how fucking stupidly easy that game is when you turn everything down. I'm just like, wow. Especially when I came from hard mode too. You can see like the big ass difference. Like using the machine gun on the first boss ended it in less than 5 seconds, and I'm just like, oh my god. It's so broken. So I did that, but I haven't written anything for that yet because I got to do DMC 1 now. I've been writing for that. I got 8 pages or 10 pages in so far. We just got to the fucking, what was it? The giant ass fucking bird, Griffin, who somebody in this chat might be voicing. I got that far, and then I paused for a bit to go resume the Silent Hill 3 thing. So I got to get...
Question.
I got an answer.
Is Shaun gonna play the woman?
What?
No.
Yeah.
The woman. I actually had mine for Lindsay to play Trish because that was kind of what I thought for a long time. I had a cast apparently already written in there, but some of those people don't exist anymore, so I, recasted everybody. So yeah, I think that should be most of that. I don't think I'm missing anything. Okay, cool. Hey, Shaun.
Hello.
Fuck you!
How was the man's week?
Yeah, how was
God.
Demands Week?
I watched The Office.
Why?
Because it's good.
I mean, it's terrible and good. It's like Parks and Rec. Like, it's very awkward and dumb, and there's like it starts really rough, but yeah, it gets good.
So it's very quotable, basically.
Well,
Is it
what
the US or the UK version?
it's funny because, like, considering what we talked about earlier, the beginning of that show, wow, the fucking what the fuck's his name?
Michael
Steve
Scott?
Carell. Yeah, Michael Scott. That guy is such a piece of shit.
He's the worst.
He's the worst person
Because they
ever.
tried to base him off the UK version for
He's-
season 1.
He's all the bad things. Fucking racist, sexist. He's just a
Yeah.
piece. He's dumb as shit on top of it, which is dangerous. But at first, it just came across as like, wow, this guy's just a dick. And then it turns into he begins to get funny, and you start to appreciate what he does, and like, yeah, I think the writing just kind of gets a little bit better. But anyway, yeah, I didn't think I was gonna like it at first, just like with Parks and Rec, but I ended up liking it quite a bit. But like with everything I've been watching recently, I've been watching it just as I fall asleep, so I'm only seeing like bits and pieces, which is weird because it's like I'll fall asleep mid-season 1 and wake up like mid-season 2, and like characters have gone through story arcs, and I'm just like, what?
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm kind of fucking ruining the show for myself, but I like it. I like what I've seen. I need to go back and rewatch the whole thing at some point, but yeah, it's good. I really didn't think I was gonna like it. That's the only thing I've watched this week, I think, other than obviously our marathon with the machinima.
Resuming tomorrow.
Maybe it might be later.
Maybe.
We'll see how my weekend goes, because I got to work this weekend, so I'm
Okay,
gonna be
keep
tired.
me posted then.
Yeah. I played one fucking game. One.
Good job.
I've been trying. Hey,
Yakuza.
hey, it's a real game though, bitch.
Yeah,
I've been
with
trying
real hard achievements.
real fucking hard achievements. I've been trying to
Goat Simulator is
platinum.
difficult, bitch.
Excuse me. What?
I said Goat Simulator is difficult. That last one is difficult.
I guarantee compared to Yakuza 1 in Japanese, it's not nearly as hard, okay? I promise you. But anyways, yeah, I'm trying to platinum Yakuza 1 HD, which is a fucking nightmare. I'm 33 hours in, And while pouring through all the guides and translations and all the shit that I've got to dig through to progress the story and go through all the sub-stories and do all the things, I came across a little footnote where I realized I missed one fucking coin locker key at the start of the game. I had 42 out of 50 keys. I find this out 33 hours in. I'm very
Because it's
upset.
only available during a certain story beat for whatever fucking reason.
Yeah, for some reason, when you're fucking carrying Haruka, you got to talk to some random guy by a car to get a coin locker key. What? I thought I was supposed to be saving the little girl, but no. It's bullshit.
Just stop to talk to a guy to get a coin locker key.
But the problem is, like, the guide, it's like, oh, here's the missables. Don't forget to do these things before you leave the chapter. And it goes, like, chapter by chapter by chapter, you know, telling you all the things in each chapter, what you need to do before you move on. Awesome. Good. I get it. Perfect. And then as I got to the bottom of that list, below all the chapters are the goddamn coin locker keys. I thought those would be included in the fucking chapters. But no, they weren't. So it fucked me. But yeah. So now, to get the platinum, I have to beat the goddamn game a second time and go back through and get all the keys again, which are rooted into the sub-stories. So I got to do a bunch of sub-stories again, hunt down all the keys again, go through the whole fucking game again. I was trying really hard to avoid this exact scenario.
I mean, I think the one benefit you can have from this time is that you can really skip through a lot of the text and skip the cutscene, because it is in the options that you can set it to skip the cutscenes, because originally there is an option where you could literally change whether you want your start button to skip it or do jack shit.
Well, I didn't think I would need to, because I was following the guide. Should have been straightforward. Right. And I'm watching the story because it's been a long time since I've gone through the original game. So it's like I'm watching the YouTube version of the English dub simultaneously as I watch the cutscenes in the game. So I'm like, I can kind of experience it in real time translated.
Right.
So I'm enjoying the story. So that's good. And when I go through it again, I can go into the options and change that. But I still got to sort through all the text. But
the other bonus thing is, you know,
I kind of can speedrun it, though, because I got to go get all the goddamn collectibles and do certain sub-stories, so...
Right, but at least you don't have to do everything else that you already had to do for the trophy. Like,
I know, which is a lot.
Cabaret.
I still can't just, like, run through it real quick. I still got to pay attention, make sure I'm not missing anything that I need, and getting 50 fucking collectibles, and... I'm pretty sure I got to do in the neighborhood of 15 or 20 sub-stories. So, I mean, it's still a fucking ordeal.
Yeah.
I'm so upset. I just want to get past 1 and 2 so I can enjoy Yakuza again.
Get to the HD collection for PS4.
Exactly.
I believe in you.
To give myself a break and to actually enjoy what I'm doing, I think I'm going to Platinum 1, do Kiwami, Platinum 2, do Kiwami 2, then 0, then 3 and on.
Well, you can't go into Kiwami without playing 0 because of the fact that but Kiwami was literally made from the continuity of 0 and makes 0 references. Yeah, you need to go back. You have to go back. Build up for the foundation, because Kiwami will like test whatever you learn from 0.
You ruined my goddamn plan. I guess I'm doing 1 and 2 back to back.
I'm stopping you from fucking this up.
I appreciate it. I just hate my life right now. I'll get through it. But now... I'm
glad you're here.
I'm fucking trying to find this stupid Aya bitch that doesn't exist. She said she'd go out with me, and I can't find her anywhere. She fucking stood me up, and I need her dumbass for a goddamn trophy. The guides say, oh, she's going to be in this location. Is she there? No.
Send me the text, see what it says. And then potentially I might believe that maybe it's a story beat, but we have no idea. We'll find out. I got your back.
We'll figure it out. But anyways, yeah. So that's kind of all I've really been doing. Stupid Yakuza.
It's great.
So the score is 3 platinums to you and 6 platinums to me.
What about Jazz?
All right, Jazz, what have you got?
3,
1.
right? What?
2?
I thought you had 3. No?
I got... Do I?
I
got a Flagsdale. and murdered sole suspect. I think that's it.
Okay, 2, 3, 6.
It's time for some news. Four stories this week.
Wow.
First up, coronavirus is shutting down video games.
Yay!
Kick it off with some positive vibes, everybody. Woo!
Wow.
No one played video games anyway.
The curry virus has gotten out of hand.
Did you say courier?
Curry.
Wait,
That's-
what?
That's my C virus.
Let's go for curry right now.
Oh, okay, I get it.
Yes.
No, I still think it's ironic that it's the C virus. I mean,
Above all the names of
come on. It should have been the T virus, but it's all right.
that would have been terrible.
That would have been the terrible. Okay.
I know, right?
As the threat of the coronavirus spreading continues to be a growing concern, more and more companies are shying away from large public gatherings like GDC and PAX. In the last 2 weeks, reports have emerged that the likes of Sony, Square Enix, Kojima Productions, Microsoft, Epic, Oculus, EA, Unity, Amazon, Activision Blizzard, and many other smaller companies are pulling out of the Game Developers Conference this year, to the point that the event has been canceled entirely, with the hopes to host the event at a later date. The official GDC statement is as follows. After close consultation, that word, after close consultation with our partners in the game development industry and community around the world, we've made the difficult decision to postpone the Game Developers Conference this March. Having spent the past year preparing for the show with our advisory board, speakers, exhibitors, and event partners, we're genuinely upset and disappointed not to be able to host you at this time. There you go. No GDC. Well, they might do it later, but it's probably just going to be canceled for the year. Which sucks.
No GDC because of the CDC.
That's a lot of money down the tubes. But oh well. Yeah, there you go. What? Wow, Alec. What?
Yeah.
What do you have against the GDC?
Why can't they just turn it into like PlayStation State of Play?
You're one of those. Okay.
It's like, why do you have to gather around the fucking stadium to say, I have this coming out?
It's fun. It's supposed to be exciting. All the excitement is gone. Nobody cares anymore.
This is what I'm saying. Why are people trying? It's not fucking working.
Wow. Why are people trying? Wow. Okay. PAX East also suffered the effects of the coronavirus, with the likes of Capcom, Square Enix, CD Projekt Red, and PUBG Corp all limiting participation or pulling out entirely. So that's two very big game industry events that are getting either shut down or really pretty much fucking destroyed because of the coronavirus. Awesome.
Well, you have to pull out. It's always safe.
Oh, god damn it. That is not safe. Don't. No. Wear protection, everybody. Speaking of plagues decimating video games, number 2. Plague Incorporated has been removed from sale in China.
Wow.
The virus.
Jesus Christ.
The virus spreading simulator has skyrocketed in sales amidst the coronavirus scare in what seems to be a mixture of fascination and information on how viruses spread. Due to the concern that the game may give people worried about the spread of the virus misinformation, the game was pulled from the China market for including, quote, content that is illegal in China as determined by the Cyberspace Administration of China. Yeah.
It's China
that game
not
is
gonna
illegal.
Get RE3?
But wow.
Oh, wow.
There's a virus in it? Nope. Cancel it. It's too real. So yeah, the whole world's gonna die by the coronavirus. Prepare yourself.
Finally.
It's about time.
Yeah.
How could it have taken so long?
God, I saw on the news today that the first British person died of coronavirus, and I'm like, oh, okay, great. Here it goes.
I don't know that anybody in the U.S. has died from it. I know there's been a couple cases in the U.S. though. Yeah, this could be the end, everybody.
Dogs have it now, apparently.
Enjoy your digital. What?
Yeah, I saw an article that dogs in China like
seriously
have the fucking coronavirus.
Oh no!
I thought
Who's
it was
giving
like
their
it
dogs
starts-
coronas?
I mean, is it an
Irresponsible.
STD? Because now we need to call somebody else.
I told you, wear condoms. Especially when you're fucking your dog.
Pull out method always works.
No. Number 3. Square Enix follows Microsoft's anti-next-gen example when it comes to exclusivity. More positive news. The company has stated that they will not be releasing exclusives for next-gen consoles anytime soon. Square Enix president Yosuke Matsuda had the following to say. The next-generation consoles will have backwards compatibility, so we plan for the time being to make our new titles available for both current and next-generation consoles. It will therefore be somewhat further down the road that we release titles exclusively for the next-generation consoles. Once again, nobody fucking cares anymore.
Nope.
It's really sad. Exclusives? Nah. Specs? Excitement? Hype for new consoles? Pff, nah. Let's just make more PCs. Fuck it. You know?
Yeah.
Let's, why focus on, quality and graphics when we can focus on how quickly our fucking controller can connect to our hardware and how fast games load? Because that's what people care about, apparently. Oh, okay. Fourth and final story. Continuing the positive vibes. No, this one's not bad. God
damn it.
Look, it's just information, but fourth and final story. Microsoft reveals more information on Xbox Series X.
God, who gives a shit about that fucking thing?
No,
apparently, people who want to play Xbox games.
Apparently nobody, including the people making it. That's the thing.
Oh my god.
Microsoft spoke about a few new features that the newest console will include. Firstly, Xbox Series X will offer Smart Delivery, which will allow you to play digitally purchased games across multiple platforms without the need to purchase multiple copies of the game. So if you buy Halo Infinite on Xbox One, you automatically own it for Xbox Series X as well, including any additional upgrades or features the next generation version may offer. This service will be available to all first-party Microsoft games and is an opt-in feature for third-party developers. CD Projekt Red is one of the first to confirm using this feature, which means you can pick up Cyberpunk 2077 on the Xbox One and when it comes out on release, and then get a free upgrade to the Series X version whenever that releases in the future. So,
I mean, it's interesting.
That's cool. If digital is your thing, it's a good thing. I don't like it because it's making digital more appealing, but it's a good feature. I wish they would do the same thing for physical, but whatever. I mean, technically, I guess they are, but no, this is actually all digital now that I think about it. It said specifically digital, so I don't think this applies to physical.
You're supporting digital, Shaun. What the hell?
To be honest, unless something dramatically changes or something that I fucking have to have comes out, I have no plans to buy either next gen system. They're just not appealing to me at all. The hardware's not appealing. The games that are coming out aren't appealing. The lack of focus on anything for these systems. These systems are just going to come out and be there if you want them. Like, nobody seems to give a shit. Like, just none of it's appealing. There's no reason to buy one of these. I would be better off just upgrading my PC and doing that. And down the road, I can probably play all my fucking PlayStation and Xbox games on the PC anyway, so who fucking cares?
But controllers, dude.
You can plug those into your PC.
Nah.
It's fucking garbage. The new hardware will have 12 teraflops of GPU power, which makes it twice the power of the Xbox One X.
Teraflops?
Mm-hmm.
Is that literally what it's called, or is you just saying terabytes weirdly?
No, it's teraflops. It's the GPU power measurement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll just come up with an argument against the whole fucking PC thing.
Well, yeah?
Yeah, so when I want to play the PlayStation 1 games, I can still play on my fucking PlayStation 1 console. And it will still fucking play. If I were to put my PC games into my old PC, does that work? No.
That's
Well,
true.
yeah,
There are
for-
some of those
For
like
old
if you want to
consoles,
play
yeah.
if you want to play like the original Resident Evil 1 PC, it's gonna be kind of a bitch to play on there.
But like
So
we're
fuck
Especially-
PCs.
we're inching our way to a future where it's going to be the same thing more or less on console, because like, okay, so you bought the first Xbox One or Xbox Series X, and then down the road, 5-6 years down the road or whatever, where they've had 3 or 4 iterations of the console where they've beefed it up, and now games are like catering to that. Like when you go back
But
and you
my
play your
console
game,
will still,
if you still-
will still work.
well, it'll work, but you're going to have a shitty, underperforming, garbage version of the game because you still have that first gen hardware.
How can you say it would be a shitty version? Because when you first playing it on your playing it on your console, you're enjoying it.
Well, yeah, but you're probably playing. Well, I guess you wouldn't be playing those games, but still, like you're still playing the lowest quality version of that game. Sure, yeah, you can still enjoy it, and it's going to work, and that's fine. But there's a version on your console that runs better, performs better, might have better features, whatever. That's
Nah.
What do you mean, nah? That's fact.
Nah. I don't care. I'm gonna stick to retro and fucking fuck PC.
But like when you're investing in a new console and you're dropping whatever $300 to $500, whatever it may be, you should care at that point, because that's a big investment and you should want the best offering that system has to offer. But when it means that now it's a PC and you've got to continuously upgrade and drop, $200, $300, $400 over, periods of time, then what's the appeal? It's a goddamn PC.
Yeah, I'd rather just get a console for what it's worth, and then when it comes to the PC saying, "Oh, we've got an update," that's fine, great. I'll still stick to my console. It still works. So fuck you.
Well, you can still play the shitty, underperforming versions on a PC, just like you can.
Underperforming. You can still play the goddamn consoles and still enjoy it. So I don't see really what's it going to be. The speculations of, oh, it can, as you said earlier, it can spin the disc a lot quicker. Great.
Well, yeah, but it's performing worse though. Like same thing on what I'm saying is it's going to be the same thing from console to PC, where yes, you can play it, but like you said, it's going to load slower. It's going to look worse. It might not support certain features depending on what they do. Like that's not something that I want to deal with on a console.
But never mind. Let's just carry on.
If you want a full discussion, we had it on the Spoodcast with
We
Shaun.
did just recently, and we've talked about it a trillion times on this podcast as well.
Yeah, pretty much.
I just don't like it. Anyway,
A zillion times.
exactly. So 12 tera flippity flops. It'll support up to 120 frames per second, which who fucking gives a shit? I mean, whatever. Continues to offer backwards compatibility for Xbox, Xbox 360, and Xbox One software, and offers a new feature called Quick Resume. This will allow you to suspend any game you play and go back to it at any point you left off. This is something you can currently do with one game, but this new feature will allow you to go from game to game to game, and will allow you to continue playing multiple games simultaneously. So if you're playing one game and you stop to play another game with somebody else, it's not going to like shut that game off. That game will technically be continued. It'll continue to run essentially in your hardware. So when you go back to the other game, it's still going to be in the same state it was. You don't have to reboot it up. It doesn't have to load. You're just going to start playing from where you left off. And that's going to go across whatever games you play. So you can be playing 5, 6, whatever games simultaneously, and it's going to save your state in all those games simultaneously, which is cool. Again, perks to digital. There are, they exist, but blah. Blah.
I think it's potentially could lead up to like a clusterfuck of people who just have way too many games on. I
do wonder if that information is going to be stored like in a cloud, or if that's all going to be maintained on the hardware. Because if that's all saved on your hardware, eventually that's got to hit your performance.
Yeah, it's
you
gonna
have
get a little
40
taxing.
games that are suspended. Like that's got to do something, unless it is all cloud-based, which it probably is. But that's gross. There you go, news.
Yeah.
Everybody excited to be a gamer in 2020? No? Good.
You make me so excited every time.
Yeah. Maybe we'll just stop talking about the news. Let's talk about some machinima, everybody. Let's do that. Machinima's good.
Oh my god. What? You guys are actually talking about machinima when I'm here? Oh, I thought we were going to talk about survival horror again.
Hey, what's wrong with survival horror?
Nothing's wrong with it, but it just seems like I'm being avoided whenever machinima gets around.
It just worked out that way. It's nothing against you.
Okay.
Jazz. What? Tell us about the news, the weather, the
news. You just what?
Machinima, let's go.
Tell us good news.
Machinima. Yeah,
I knew that.
Talk. We're doing machinima talk.
Yeah.
Where we talk about machinima.
Wow, great, good conversation, everybody.
You know, it took me an hour to write that down.
What?
Yeah, no. So we've talked about like last week we talked about voice acting or recording and casting, and we've talked about some of the stuff that we do when we're making the machinima.
Yeah.
But Shaun pointed out that we should talk about the lesser positive part of
Oh no!
I would never.
We're like, you know, making machinima is fun, and all of us here have series that we do, and it's all fun and games when you hear about it or when you watch it, but sadly it doesn't always go the way you want. And let's talk about the struggles in editing.
Oh god!
Yeah.
This is
so
what I couldn't
I'm
do.
sure everyone here has had those fucking problems when you're just trying to edit and you're either tired or you've been working on the same show for years.
What?
Not necessarily, but yeah, so you know, I have a couple of questions I figured I'll ask you guys and then we could talk about it going from there. Let's start with actually, whoever. So here's my question. Whoever wants to answer first, just go ahead. You guys can fight it out. I'm good.
Wow.
So,
to the death.
What is one of the worst struggles you've had to put up with when editing a series or just even one episode? Like, what's the worst thing you've come across?
Sean, I think you know what we're both thinking about right now.
And you can't say saving because
that was exactly it. But I think I could
crashing and saving. I typically go first on these, so I'm gonna go later. So somebody else take it.
Sound effects.
Yeah, I was gonna say sound effects. Adding sound effects to every fucking bit that makes possible sounds. You think,
And when you first start out, you know, you don't really think about it too much, or sometimes you let the game run its course, for better or worse. Like my example was when I remade the episodes of Devil May Cry 3, the first 4, I really got lazy with sound effects and sometimes let the game come through, which wouldn't sound right because then you hear like some slight background from like either the music or other things. So after episode 5, where I started getting serious about like actually using sound effects, especially in the final episode's case, I had to like really listen out for like what plays and what sound effects I can insert so everything actually feels alive. Or like in Resident Evil 1's case, where I didn't want to put the footsteps sound effects, but then I realized if I don't, it'll literally be empty without any sound effects. So the worst thing you can ever edit besides any like gunshots or smack sound effects, because those might not be as bad, it's footstep noises. Yep. Sean had it pretty easy back in the day.
What?
All he had to do was throw in your fucking horse galloping walking noises.
What the fuck are you talking about?
It's funny you say that because I watched the first ever Duel episode, the first one of it, and I was just like, yeah, Imagine if you walk in places that no one walks on.
It's the only reason I was able to rip it back in the day because
Look,
it was.
I fucking worked hard at that. I was a baby editor and I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, and I didn't have the hardware for it. So like what happens sometimes is I still fucking suffer from this today, but sometimes what you see in the preview is not what you get. So it's like, oh look, this aligns perfectly in my preview, and then I render it and guess what? Nope, sure doesn't. So sometimes it just kind of it was what it was. And my time, being new to the thing, I was learning, I was just kind of figuring out the timing, what the fuck I was doing and whatever. So fuck you. It was hard. I tried to time that shit, and it wasn't just like, sometimes there's loops. Like if I had an opportunity to throw like a loop that worked, I would take advantage of it because it was a goddamn nightmare. But for the most part, I put them in there individually, and I would rotate the different sounds to make it sound the best that I could. Again, that's something that I got better at as I went along. So fuck you.
Well, hey man, I wasn't saying that.
No, I'm talking to Alec.
Involved.
He's the one calling me out, saying I'm fucking being some lazy sound effect maker or some shit. Well, you too, you bitch, fucking horse galloping.
Yeah,
Kiss my ass.
I'm not innocent from it. I mean, fuck. I was about to say for my update, it was like for Fisting Force. I've done like 7 minutes of sound editing, putting it all together and all that crap. And the amount of times, because there's so many characters walking and running, fucking hell, I'm just going to put a fucking loop track on it.
See?
It's kind of what I need to do for some of these like walking sound effects, because they at least run at the same rate, so there's no reason for me to copy and paste a footstep noise when I could just make like a longer MP3 or WAV file of those sound effects, so I don't have to like copy and paste it step by step, except for like maybe in cutscenes where people have a specific step, like in Silent Hill 2's case, when James and Maria are talking, James walks a bit, there's a sound effect of a heel twist or whatever, like a little, and I'm just like, fuck. And so there's just all that little itty bitty details that these cutscenes are providing. And I think I'm recalling, like we were just talking about this, Shaun, the worst case of sound effects is when you forget to put sound effects, or you really do get lazy. We were watching the original Resident Evil 4 Spood, episode 3, and in the Gigante scene, there's a whole squish and a stomp and a smack, and for some fucking reason, the whole purpose of me remaking the episodes was to make it sound better. I didn't put jack shit in the remake, and it felt so wrong. And I'm like screaming at myself, why does past Dante put in the sound effects, but I don't do jack shit? And it's just crunching and violent noises. Sound effects that I could have still used. Sound effects is the worst part of editing.
It's terrible. It's the most tedious. You got to be super on time. You got to make sure that it aligns with what's on the screen, like really well. Sometimes dialogue, you have a little bit more leeway depending on what's happening, because sometimes there's not lip flaps and stuff like that. So a lot of times you have more leeway with what you're doing. Fucking sound effects, they've always got to be on point. Otherwise, it fucks everything up. Just like you were goddamn saying, oh, there's footstep noises sometimes when he's not even walking and shit like that. Like, you notice. And the kick in the ass is that when everything's in place and it looks great and the sound effects are there and you put in all that time and effort, nobody notices at all. It's just normal.
Nope.
But when you fuck up, guess what? Everybody knows about it.
Yep.
And
like the Gigante scene was worst.
Yeah, and especially when like the worst part is fucking footsteps and gunshots. Typically, those are the worst ones because there's so many of them. So,
especially machine guns.
And depending on what's happening in the episode, when you're dealing with a lot of footsteps or a lot of gunshots or both, typically, you get into the mindset where you're fighting with yourself. It's like, no one's gonna appreciate this shit, and you're fucking like, you've been editing these sounds for like 3 hours, and you're just like, fuck it. You gotta fight that urge to just be like, God damn it, I'm just not gonna do this, or I'm gonna do less, or I'm not gonna worry about the timing or whatever. Like sometimes you just kind of fall into that slump where you just kind of you weigh it. Is it even worth putting in this time and effort for something that nobody cares about? But at the end of the day, it's like we're talking about, it is important, and you're going to know every time you watch that, you're going to hear every sound effect that is or isn't there. Are you okay with that?
No.
No.
the fucking we were just talking about this with the My Restless Nightmares, where James shoot a shotgun. Like, I originally had the game noise in there, but then I decided not to and insert my own shotgun sound effect. But I forgot one, and it's stuck there. It stands out and it sucks. But like, there's a visual blocking it, so you don't see it, but I know it's supposed to be there. It hurts.
On the shotgun for that moment.
And sometimes there's so much shit going on that you get tunnel vision on like footsteps or gunshots or whatever else is happening, like punches, impacts, whatever's going on, to the point where you're trying to get all that worked out that you miss something. You don't even see that it happened until you rendered it. And it's either too fucking late because you already uploaded it, or then you gotta fucking go back in, make the edit, re-render it, and it just sucks ass. And a lot of the times you don't even notice it until it's like, oh, somebody else points it out to you, because you've been watching that footage and listening to these sounds for so long that it doesn't even register anymore. And then you're just mad at yourself because it's too late. Sound effects are the worst.
The best are when the game actually allows you to turn down the music, turn down like voice dialogue, so you can actually just have sound effects.
Revelations does that. It's my favorite thing.
Devil May Cry 5 had that, and even in like cutscenes, because like when I did Resident Evil 6, you can't turn down the voice because the voice and the cutscenes are still there. So when it comes to those, I still had to do specific editing, but at least for the gameplay, you can get away with that shit. That was a dream. Those were the best. I know there's another one I was trying to point out. The worst one, actually, that was an example of when you say fuck it. The worst is when there's a game that has like really good sound effects, and sometimes you could find game rips where you can actually get like the sound effect itself. Like for Devil May Cry 3, I found like the in-game sound effects, which really helped with the last episode. So people thought that that there was a voice and BGM volume decrease, that I made it sound really convincing. But when you can't find it, that's the issue. And that was my recent issue with like the Yakuza 0 spood skit I just released, where they have some really good crunching, busting sound effects that I would love to have and use, but no one's ever gotten those ripped out. And I was just trying to release this spood skit as fast as possible. And I originally did want to throw in sound effects, but I found myself saying, fuck it. And I just lowered the volume in half so you could still hear the sound effects, but you still hear like the background music of the actual game, and Kiryu speaking Japanese and the guy speaking Japanese. It's all there. And if I could have it the other way, where I actually edit it in, that'd be great. But I don't have any sound effects that would sound better than what's given in the game, and it sucks.
You want to hear a secret?
What?
Pretty much. So Revelations lets you turn down, like Resident Evil 6, like you can turn down the dialogue and the music, which is great, because then you have all the fucking boat sounds in the background, which are amazing.
Right.
But for the cutscenes, it's like once you turn down the music, it turns down everything in the cutscene.
Right, because it's pre-rendered.
Yeah, and that sucks, because it just sucks. But all the sound effects that are in the cutscenes for Revelations are actually from Left 4 Dead. Because on the Steam files, you can actually access them as public files.
Which is cool.
So all those gunshots and all those squishy sounds and fucking splashes and stuff.
It's all Left 4 Dead.
Left 4 Dead. Zombie family helping each other out.
Yeah, especially with that when you use like the fucking Left 4 Dead background music theme.
Oh yeah, that I was like, that fits too well.
Yes.
Love that song.
I'm suffering that same issue with like the turn down the music, you lose the cutscene audio for Silent Hill 3. In Silent Hill 2, that was good because all you would hear then is just the voice actor speaking and whatever noises they make. But for some reason in Silent Hill 3's case, they need that music. So if you turn down the music, you lose the audio. So now I'm just like, I'll have to record the game twice. One with like the gameplay where there's no music because there's so much fucking music and noise, and then one with the music on so I can get cutscene. So if there's any audio that I can use from there, I don't have to like edit it in myself. It's horrible.
It's horror.
It's horror.
It's just horror.
It's a horror.
It's horror. The horror.
Sound effects are a horror.
You've alerted the horror.
No.
All right. So yeah, we've pretty much established sound effects suck.
And crashing.
Here's another.
Not
crashing.
saving.
Crashing, not saving. Sound effects. All of the above.
And the preview thing that I was talking about.
Sorry. Editing makes me sneeze. And what, sorry?
Just the preview, not like actually showing you what the real fucking preview is.
The
I think
rendering
that's
deciding
I think that's
everything.
like a hardware limitation. I assume because that's something that I ran into a lot more frequently when I had a shittier computer, because editors and video renderers, they tax the hardware pretty substantially. So I'm pretty sure when you do have a preview and it renders something differently, I think it's just having an issue displaying that because it doesn't have the power that it needs to do that. But anyways, when that happens, it can be real bad on sound effects. But what you like, sometimes when you're watching a machinima, you'll see like a really short, like not even a second, like 1/100th of a second frame just really quickly flash in there real quick.
Yeah.
And typically when that happens, that's why. Because when I'm editing, since I know that's an issue, I'm always specifically looking for that because I know that can exist. So I go into the end of a scene and I go into, like, I zoom all the fuck the way in and I clip those last couple of frames, probably a little bit more than I even need to, just to make sure that doesn't happen. And then of course I preview it and I make sure that it always looks good. But sometimes it still fucking sneaks in there. Then it becomes a guessing game and a re-render, and it's just such a fucking pain in the ass. And thankfully that doesn't happen nearly as much now, but it still fucking happens every once in a while. I want to say episode 12 has a couple of those frames, and I see it every goddamn time, and it bugs the shit out of me.
You mean here?
No, the frame, that one visual frame, when it transitions from one scene to another.
Oh, that's right. Though oh, those are the worst.
Yep.
Especially, I feel like it's with like some games that have you operate in 60 frames per second or whatever. Like I know it was really that case. Like maybe in Resident Evil 4 or 6 or one of the two. When you're previewing it, sometimes my preview would be in 30 frames per second, but then I rendered the video as 60, and there's a whole difference when you change the frame rate from what you're previewing to the final product, that suddenly things that weren't supposed to be there are there because you now have an extra bit of smoother frame rate to show those little bits and pieces. So there's a lot of times where whenever I see the camera change, I have to I literally splice it up myself and delete the fade in transition, because that's what it usually turns out to be. It's like a fade transition, like a really 0.2 one, and just get rid of it so I don't deal with that bullshit from the get-go.
Do you guys ever run into, for me, when a lot of my machinimas are going to be like fucking 10 to 13 layers of video and audio and images and all these different fucking things going on, and if you're talking about, especially when you're doing something longer, but like a 15 to 30 minute video, probably about halfway into the project, maybe a little bit further, since there's so much going on, again, it's taxing the shit out of your system. So it has more trouble rendering the preview and stuff like that. So when you're dragging the slider across a scene, it'll give you like the beginning scene of that file in the preview window when you're at the back end of the scene, when you're like clicking on it on the slider. So where it should be like a completely different scene, it's previewing something else, because I guess it just can't catch up because there's so much going on. The hardware can't render the preview. Do you guys run into that very often?
I find that always happens when I add effects to the video clip, and it always does that. So what I tend to do now is I would minimize the video clip of it that I need, just keep it short, and then produce that short video clip, and then I'll watch it, and if it came out alright, I'm like, okay, that's fine. Then move on to the next short clip of effects that I need to add. But yeah, as you said, it can do that. I'm just like, all right, all right.
I don't really recall too many instances of that.
Do you use a lot of layers like that? Like, how many layers do you typically use?
For visual?
For everything.
So here's the layers that I have. I have the initial video one, and usually depending on how many visual layers I have will be how many visual layers I have. But usually I keep it to 2, 3 at best. For audio, I have the audio, like there's the audio track that gets made when you insert the video. There's that one. And then I have about 4 audio layer tracks for the lines, because I like to keep it organized. Like there's a blue one for like the main characters, purple one for the side characters, and keep it all organized, especially when I do like the sound effects, like where I make their voice have that like devilish sound to it. And then I have about 3 to 4, depending on how bad the sound effect editing is for the sound effects. 1 BGM track and 1 ambience track. So that's like how many audio layers? Fucking probably 8 or 9, just to have that audio experience.
I think part of it too is that it's pulling like so many different sources as well, because like I've got a pre-made video for like the opening and a pre-closing, and or not the credits, but like the, you know, like the subscribe, whatever, blah blah blah. Like, comment, subscribe, everybody. Like, I've got a video for that. So those are those are bookending the video. So those are pulling from 2 different sources and stuff. So like, it's pulling all these different files from different hard drives and shit like that, I think is also part of the reason why, because it's drawing from all these different things. But yeah, I try to organize it as best as I can, but there's just, like I said, I'm typically in like the fucking 10 to 13 layer area. And I've always got like a black border that covers like the surrounding video, because you've always got that like very thin kind of black frame around the video. You know what I'm talking about? And in some of my videos, the contrast, like I raise the contrast a little bit just to make it clearer, so it looks a little washed out. So what I started doing was putting a layer on top of the video that will mask that and make it a true black. And another thing that really bothers me when I'm editing is when things leave the frame, you know, and they go over, like when I put another graphic or a filter or an effect or an overlay, like if it's expanding outside of the source video, it'll cover, like it'll go over that black border. That bugs the shit out of me. I can't fucking stand that, because it's like an image is leaving the video basically, and it looks, I don't know, it looks unprofessional to me, and it's always bothered me. So I put that border to hide that, so if anything were to overlap the source black border, you wouldn't see it, because I've got this other black border on top of that that will mask that. So that's another image mask on top of everything else that's going on. So there's so much happening that it really, my computer is not bad, but it's not the greatest computer in the world, so it's not the most powerful thing. So I feel like these projects just tax the hardware so hard that it becomes harder and harder to edit the longer I go on. And that just makes my life that much more difficult, because it's not giving me a true preview, which makes it sometimes almost impossible to time the sound, like the effects and the lines and stuff like that. And it just, that's another thing that just fucking drives me insane.
I do recognize what you're talking about. Like, as I was telling you about several times while trying to edit in my Realistic Nightmares, that because my external hard drives where it was pulling from was dying, I had Vegas crash, or it was just impossible to like even pull up the file itself, or the external hard drive will randomly disconnect. So then Vegas can't show me the file because it's gone missing.
Yeah, it doesn't exist.
And it's like you said, the more stuff you edit, like when I leave Vegas to like click on another window and come back, it gives me, that lag of load, where it can almost say, oh, it's not responding. But no, it's just taking a little longer to get back into it. So it slows me down sometimes.
And sometimes it crashes. Yay!
And sometimes it just actually crashes and you're just like, fuck. So that is especially because my shit's all spread out too. Because some of my sound effects are in one external or another external, and they're not in the same external hard drive. And then my fucking footage, I try to keep it all in the same one, but if that one fucking dies, I need to have it somewhere. Fuck. And that's like hardware struggles. And I think I've been spending half my money trying to like fucking buy replacements because I know I'm getting to that time where if I don't do this now, performance is going to get worse and it's going to be hard to edit videos.
Yeah, and I think something that would help with that too is, this is something I've always intended to do, but I don't fucking have time to be organized. I just get shit done when I can and as quickly as I can. But what I want to do is just have a project file where everything, the video, the audio, the images, everything's in one place, so that when it is drawing all this information, it's drawing it all out of one folder from one location. And I feel like that's going to reduce some of the performance issues, because it's not trying to pull from all these different files and hard drives and all these different things, because I know that runs its toll on the hardware. But I can never get to the place where I'm that organized, and I suffer for it. And that sucks. But yeah, and then Alec, you were kind of saying, your resolution would be to, do your layers, do a render, and then, load that back into another project file or whatever. And I've had to do that before. I used to do that all the time when I was working with Windows Movie Maker, because you had like 2 layers.
Windows Movie Maker.
Don't even remind me.
Now, the problem with that is you don't lose a lot of quality, but every time you make a render, it compresses. So the more times you do that, the more the quality dips down. And I know you're not nearly as fucking picky about that. I know, but it can still look worse. But for me, I don't want to take additional steps to degrade the quality unless I absolutely have to. So I try to avoid doing stuff like that unless there's no other option. But it sucks. I need like a $6,000 computer and 400 terabytes of memory and I'll be good. Fucking editing, man.
that was kind of the struggle I was getting with the one scene in Resident Evil 4 where Leon and Krauser are fighting, but then we show Ada trying to head her way over, and that was pre-rendered, and like I could still notice like it's small, but I could tell that it doesn't look as sharp as like the raw footage by itself, and it does disturb me just a tad.
Yeah, and you run into that thing that I was specifically trying to avoid when I was doing Duel with Resident Evil 4, where you've got the Ada scenes that are compressed. If I start doing like taking certain scenes and rendering them, and then you get those little compression on certain scenes, then I'm right back to where I was before, where it's like, oh, this scene's clear, and then this one's a little bit blurrier. I'm going to notice that, and it's going to drive me fucking insane. And that's why I couldn't do that with Duel. I had to just get rid of Ada. Granted, those cutscenes were way blurrier and worse quality than what I would get if I did render something like that. But still, that kind of jaded my perspective on that, because that's just in the back of my mind. I'm like, oh, I don't want it to be blurry. I want it to look good and clear as can be. So I try to avoid things like that just to maintain the quality as best as I can. I've been editing for a long time, guys, okay? So I'm very picky in how I do things, and yeah, it works against me.
I understand.
Mm-hmm. So every time we read a comment saying, when's the next episode? This is what we go against. It's like, fuck off.
It's a goddamn nightmare.
You can comment once you make your own machinima. That's when you can comment.
It's like, one half of the battle is writing the script. It's probably not even the worst-ish, depending on what you're going for. Waiting for lines is another.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
I say that with so much love. And but the finale of all this is always going to be the editing.
Yeah.
Trying to make your vision actually come to life.
And it's complicated though too, because there's aspects of editing that are enjoyable, and I mean it's rewarding. You know, once you do a scene and all the sound effects are there and all the voice acting is there and the music is there and the cuts are made, like you feel good. You know, especially if you're doing like a complicated scene because you saw it at its base form and then you saw what it became and it's like, fuck, that's awesome. Well, hopefully you should feel that way. I hope. But
that's how I felt with like the Devil May Cry scenes, because I put some intense like action sound effects.
Yeah,
and I was
so
just like,
I love that. That part of it's really great. But sound effects, fuck you. And then all these other things that we're talking about, it's just like there's so many things standing in the way before you get to that point of satisfaction that it's really difficult. And then it's like everyone's like, well, where's it at? Why is it taking so long? And you're like, well, fuck.
That's why I do some live edit streams so people kind of see like what's going on as I try to fucking get that shit done. And it's usually when I live stream, it's when I'm at the adding visual effects and the fucking sound effects division. That's when they get to see the real struggle.
The best part is probably the writing, just because it is what it is, man. You know, you write your goddamn story, and that's what's happening right now, where editing is so many things, and there's so much potential for things to go wrong.
Sometimes you forget what you originally wanted to.
Yeah. Jazz, what do you have? What are your problems? Complain to us.
I pretty much agree with the fact that, like, if we're going back to sound effects and stuff like that, but my main problem is timing. This isn't anyone's fault, but you know that I write my script like after I edit the video to go with the lip sync and all that, and so like I'll watch it and then I'll write it and then I'll go back and watch it again and then I'll write it and then I'll have the video and the text or the script next to each other, and I'll like read the script as I'm watching the video, and I'm like, yeah, this is perfect. But then I'll like send out the lines and they come back and they're not always at the same time that I had. So like somebody can drag on a syllable just a little bit too much.
Yeah.
And it throws all the other lines after that. I had to cut so many of my lines because there's a whole bunch of stuff that was supposed to go in when Parker's chasing Jill, but it just wasn't working, and I don't know why. I think it's because the ooze was a little bit off, and that from the get-go started like lagging me a little bit. But it still worked out. It's just like, I had it planned so tight. And I can't add video because it's already edited. Nah.
Yeah, I guess that does kind of fall into the editing portion. We talked about that a little bit before. I can't remember what the subject was at the time. But yeah, where you know, it's when you're writing for something that's already recorded and you don't want silence. You never want silence. So you're trying to be as accurate and specific to the scene as you can to get as much dialogue within that window to avoid that silence. And when you're doing that and you're cutting it so close, anything that goes too long or too short, can fuck up the entire scene. And I run into that shit all the time. I delete so much dialogue every single episode just because of that. And luckily I throw enough like jokes in there within a scene that I can cut out jokes and still leave jokes in there, and it makes sense and it still fills the time. But there are times where it's like, okay, I'm committing to this one whatever piece of story or joke or whatever it is that's going to run across this entire scene, and if the lines are too long or too short, the whole thing's fucked, and you have to redo it or rewrite it or make it something else. And you don't know that that's going to be the case until the end stages, because you've got to wait to get the recordings back and throw it in the timeline and see what you're really dealing with. And one thing that I do too, that I can sometimes avoid that, is I'll cut up the line, where a lot of times there will be pauses within the dialogue and you can cut it up. And eliminate a couple seconds here and there to kind of squeeze everything together. Sometimes you can speed it up a little bit by adjusting the tempo rather than the speed, and that will work. So there's a little bit of playroom in there, but it's very minimal with what you can do there. And yeah, a lot of shit gets scrapped because of that. That's a fucking struggle for sure.
Yeah.
It's kind of why when I do things differently, obviously. When I write the script, I kind of focus on writing the script first, and then sometimes I'll see what I could probably do in gameplay, but I do the gameplay recording footage later and make it go with whatever I wrote with the script. Obviously, the only exception to that rule is cutscenes. So the only thing with cutscenes I got to see with what I could probably use for whatever line or whatever. Because sometimes I'll use the same, like in Silent Hill 2's case, when James and Maria meet, I used several times of James's backing up of, no, you're not, for like half of the
I can't do that.
Of the CG dialogue.
Truth be told, that bugs the shit out of me. I know you do that a lot, and it's perfectly fine. I understand the reasoning behind it, but to me, every time I see that, it just bugs the shit out of me.
It's a difference in styles, man.
Yeah. Again, it gives you more freedom. I get why you would do it, because you're getting more lip flaps, and I do that every once in a while but I'll only do it once. Like I'll do a forward play and a reverse where it looks like the delivery is different across, so you can kind of you can get away with it a little bit because it looks more like you can't really identify it sometimes if you do it right. But when you loop back and forth like that several times, then it just looks like you can see what the person is doing, like whoever made the video, like they're just playing back and forward a scene over and over again, and it hurts the immersion for me. It feels, I don't know. It messes with the tempo of the story to me. It just it kind of takes you out of it a little bit.
It's kind of just because I focus more on like the content versus the cinematics in my style. Though there will be some times where I do land that cinematic mark, and those are cool every now and then, especially when I nail it. But I do focus on trying to get my content out there versus like trying to look good. And you guys have shown that you're able to do both, like to a degree. But I'd like to get whatever I wrote down there out there. My struggle with when it comes to the gameplay parts, it's like what you guys were saying, that you record your footage, but this is like when I record it with like the timing of whatever I had for the line. But sometimes either it's my fault or maybe the voice actor did it differently. But usually it's my fault that I go a little too fast and I didn't really work with what I was going to do. For example, like I think it was during the very beginning with James where he leaves. He leaves from the bridge after he leaves the bathroom to go get his map. I went a little too fast getting to where I needed to go, and it didn't really work out with what I needed to do or something like that. And I'm just like, fuck, how do I make this work, kind of thing. Or I turn around too fast from something, then I'm just like, no, the line still needs to go.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it, though, right? Is we talk about this every time we're talking about any facet of machinima, is that there's no right or wrong way, and everybody has a completely different style or a variation of a style. No, it seems like nobody has the exact same method. There's always some kind of approach that you're going to do different from everybody else, and everybody's going to have a vision. Just taking Resident Evil 4 for an example. You made a Resident Evil 4 machinima, so did I, but they're stylistically and obviously story-wise, they're very different. But it's the same game at the end of the day. So that's really cool that you can take that story or that game and make it so different just because of the person that's making it.
And that was one of the things we were talking about earlier. You were afraid of watching Resident Evil 6 because you were worried that there might be something that I do that you wanted to do but now you can't do. But I think like the prime of like what my style is really comes through on that. So I was just like, no, Shaun doesn't have to worry about stuff he want to do but can't do, because we've established from Resident Evil 4 that we've got like a huge enough difference in styles that I know I will see something completely different by the time you get to Resident Evil 6, and it'll be all good. It'll still be a good Resident Evil 6 parody, just interpreted differently. And that is art.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yee.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's I think that's pretty much it.
Ta-da.
It's funny because like with one question, we ended up answering all three questions. So
What was the third? What was the third question?
No, it was literally like just getting around the obstacles and like, like have you ever had a struggle that you just couldn't deal with, but you didn't want to take out, so you left it there and worked around it, and like to this day, you're like, I fucking hate myself. Like you with your shotgun, you said like the man pops up and like blocks that shotgun, but you kept it in there and you know it's there.
Yeah, because I forgot to copy and paste the shotgun noise.
And Shaun, you mentioned too that you had a couple that you were like, fuck.
Yeah, the
You see
altered
it,
scenes that we got to watch of missing lines.
Yeah, and that goes into just the whole recording, lines being too long, lines being too short, and it fucking up kind of everything else. So they had to either go away and be turned into a different joke that fit, or trimmed down or whatever. And sometimes you can't save it, and that's why I did the alternate scenes and stuff like that, because the material there I really enjoyed, but without going in and playing the game again and getting back to that area and recapturing and like doing all these things, it's just not worth it. So I just had to it was a way for me to keep them but also continue to move forward. This shit takes long enough as it is without doing shit like that. It's just unrealistic.
And it sucks because I think RE4 is the same concept where you can't just pick which chapter or pick which thing, right?
Yeah, is there a chapter? No, there's not. You can watch the cutscenes, but yeah, you can't chapter select.
And I know RE6 you can watch the cutscenes too.
Yeah.
Revelations you can't.
Oh,
if
really?
you want your cutscene, you gotta fucking play through the game to get it. You know how many times I've had to play as Parker and Jessica, and I fucking like swore so much. Now I just save at the beginning of every chapter, so I can just go each save file and be progressing in the game. So I don't have to keep playing as Jessica and Chris and again all the butts that you don't want.
Butts.
Because they're
Jessica
butts.
and Chris.
Real quick, Alec, do you have any in your shows, like anything that you left in there, and when you see it, you're like, I hate it. I'm mad.
Oh yeah, totally. So when I rewatched Metal Gear Spunk, I can't. I have to redo it now. I can't watch
The whole
it.
thing.
Like I have to do the whole thing.
He's like,
relatable.
The biggest fuck up I made was the episode.
Oh wow.
Redo the whole thing.
Well, I know where he's coming from.
Britain.
Wow.
Wow.
My mom.
Yeah, that's my favorite answer too.
The mom.
The mom.
Yeah, there's I can remember in particularly the mission briefing episode I did for Spunk. You can just hear audio clips and you think, oh, why didn't I get rid of that? And it doesn't sound clear, and you think, oh, for fuck's sake. So after Sean pointed it out to me, I was like, oh, god damn it.
Hey,
Good job,
context. I was trying to help, and I was offering to not only help you out, but also just kind of offer advice, because I've been doing this for a little while. So yeah, I was just trying to give you like some feedback as to like if I were to approach it, these are things that I noticed that I would remove or do differently or whatever, just to kind of, because sometimes you don't even know, like when you're learning editing and machinima in general, like you don't know all the things until you get there, you hit that roadblock, or you do it wrong, and then you go back and you watch it and you're like, oh fuck, well shit, maybe I could have done it this way. So I was trying to help alleviate some of that for you.
And that's the other thing for me when I'm making stuff and I'm asking for advice. I generally get some feedback saying, "Oh, I could do this for you." I'm like, "Yeah, you could, but I'm trying not to use you too much because I know you got your own things." And I'm just like, "Yeah, all right."
What? Really?
It's like Gmod. Yeah, I'm never going to be good at Gmod, so that's.
Oh, I got you for that. Yeah. I need to teach you guys Gmod.
I know.
That's part of updates.
But I ain't a G. I'm a D.
It's funny too, because we were watching, we talked about going back and watching our old stuff. I feel like as a creator, that's super important to do periodically, just because, you not only you see where you came, you kind of see like your path, where you began, where you are today, how you grew, but you also see what you did wrong. Like you identify things that you fucked up, or things you might have missed originally, but since you've been doing it for X amount of time since then, you're picking up these things more. Like you're recognizing and identifying things that you wouldn't have even thought to look for before. And then you can learn from that and be like, oh, well, I'm never going to do that again. Or now I know how to do that differently. So it's going to make you a better creator. And for me, I feel like experimentation, because of that, is important. Go over the lines, do crazy things, and learn from it. Grow from it. Do some things that you think are cool that down the road you're gonna fucking hate because they're terrible, but you're not gonna know that until you try them and you see why it didn't work. And then sometimes you can take that idea, and after watching it after a while, you can kind of figure out a way to make that work in a non-cringy way, or a more visually pleasing way. Or you'll just know, like watching that now, oh God, that was just a mistake. Don't ever do that again. I just feel like that's something that you should definitely do. Like even just watching your relevations and stuff, you can see how you grew, Jazz. Like everything just improves every single time. And that's not to say the first one was bad, but you can just see like the tone and the editing and how things flow together, and the overall quality goes up every single time.
The first one had a lot of problems with it that I was fully aware of. And the main one, well, other than it being done on Windows Movie Maker, the main problem was that I put my dialogue and I think O'Brien's dialogue to the video, and then I rendered it and sent it to you so you could add your lines once they were done. And then you had to fucking time your lines with that because I was stupid. So when I watch it, sometimes I'm like, oh my God, like Jill interrupts Parker a lot, but I think it was more of a timing thing. So you like Parker was supposed to have his line, like, after the door with Chris.
Mm-hmm.
And Jill's like, she turns around and Parker starts talking and she's like, that's it. And he's like, oh, and he like stops. I'm like, I don't think he was supposed to stop, but I think you did that because my line just went. And I'm like, God, go looking back at it. And I'm like, God, that was so stupid. Why didn't I just send him my lines if I didn't want to edit it? Idiot. Yep.
So, Alec and Jazz, do you guys find yourself going back and rewatching some of your older stuff just to kind of see like where you've come from, constantly, and kind of just how terrible it was?
There's a reason why I still have the original Dino Stupid Crisis up there. So it's just like, because that was really my first kind of baby kind of thing. And I just think,
Baby Dino.
Yeah, I mean, even some of the things that I wrote, I've done better there. And there's some lines I do regret. But the funny thing is, like, this is the other part of the updates I did. I have started the Dino Stupid Crisis Remake 2020 edition. And the funny thing about video editing is, like, once you, as Shaun was saying, once you experiment, I've learned a new type of thing that I can do for videos. I'm like, that's awesome. Good.
And so, sometimes you'll learn those, try them, and they'll suck. But you should still do it just to kind of see, like, do it to the best of your ability. And maybe it won't pan out, but you'll learn from it. Or again, like I said, maybe it's just not something that works, but you're not going to know until you try it out. But it gets you to
saw the clip I made, so
yeah. But it gets you to also tinker around with the software that you're using too. Like I recommend just going through and looking at your filters and looking at your transitions and looking at all the tools that you have and just kind of play around with it. And again, some will be good, some will be bad, some will be a learning experience, but it'll allow you to learn your software and get comfortable and know your limitations and stuff like that. I think that's really important to grow. And for me, I'm always learning. Every single episode or video that I do, I'm doing something different. I'm doing something new, or I'm tweaking something that I did in the past. Like episode 13 has some things in it that I've never done before. And again, maybe I'll look back at that down the road and be like, fuck, what the hell was I thinking? But right now I think it's cool, and I think people will like it. And as long as you keep that mentality and you grow and you learn from it, I think it's always going to make you a better creator, because you're just going to grow and learn and evolve. Yeah. And for the people listening, don't get discouraged from what we're saying, because this is like the advanced class. But if you do want to do machinima, like we talked about in the past, start simple. My first videos were glorified music videos.
Devil May Cry 3
with almost zero editing and
Windows Movie Maker.
Yep, and like no sound effects and whatnot. So start with what you got, learn what you got, and just go from there. Don't be afraid of being terrible. You'll get better.
Sometimes I just have to, when I have to go back and rewatch things, I really only do it just to remember who I am.
What?
Because sometimes I forget what my style is or what I do, and
That's
I just
terrible.
have to remind. Because I don't know. Because there's someone who I told you who like gave me feedback about like my stuff and how it felt different from everything else. So then it starts making me think like, what was my style? What did work? Like, what was the good? That's really my only like thing when I rewatch is not only just the technical aspect, but also like the content within like the real deep stuff. Yeah. Cause I'm just like, I'm thinking that was my whole perspective, because when we brought up like Silent Hill or whatever versus like Resident Evil 6 or 4, the style is different because the game is different, kind of thing. Like the approach has to be different. Resident Evil 6 is crazy, so I can be crazy. Silent Hill is dialogue heavy and not as like fucking action packed explosive, so I can't do what I do with the others over there, kind of thing. And it just it makes me really self-conscious about whether I still have my style or not, kind of thing.
That's the thing too, especially when you're doing like multiple games where your style is harder to define because of that, because like you said, I mean, every game's going to be different, and with the machinima, your world, your creative process is like it revolves around that game. Like what is that game? Is it fast paced? Is it slow paced? What's going on? Is there a lot of cutscenes? Is there action? What can you do in the game? Like, what are your gameplay options? So like you've got to accommodate the game, and your style is going to be / should be different from game to game, because you're making something completely different. Like RCS isn't the same as Duel. Isn't the same as Mega Man. Isn't the same as Umbrella Corps or Co-op. Like every single thing's going to be completely different because your tool set is different. And plus, as a creator, you're like you'll probably have a comedic style, or an overall, like your overall vision will kind of be a little bit similar from project to project. But outside of that, you should want to make something different that kind of stands on its own from project to project to project. I think that's an important thing to do as a creator, because if you're just making the same thing with a different skin from game to game to game, then is that really what you want?
No,
probably not.
That's why it makes me happy to know that it still gets received well despite the difference and all that jazz. So when I hear from everyone else that they still love that, I was like, okay, that's good, because I thought I lost my touch. That was especially in My Restless Nightmares, Dirty Little Sinner's case. I was really concerned.
Yeah, it's always concerning when you go to a different game, because who's watching it? Like, are the people watching your Resident Evil videos watching it because it's Resident Evil, or because they like your comedic style, or what?
Right.
So those fans might not transition over to another game because maybe that's not what they want. Maybe they just want Resident Evil content or whatever that.
And that's that's the real struggle. It's like whether I could branch out to other stuff and still have people like it or not, just because it's not the main thing that I was known for.
Yeah.
Do you go through that same struggle yourself, Sean? Because you've been Duel, but other than you pull out some other games, and as we've seen, and
Yeah, I mean, nothing gets the views that Duel gets because I mean that's what I'm known for. So that's like the majority of the audience is going to be wanting that, and they're going to have their different reasons for that. You know, a lot of them are Resident Evil fans, so they want Resident Evil content, or more specifically, they could be Resident Evil 4 fans, and that narrows it even further. So you never know.
I feel. Yeah, my struggle is I have the mix of people who came to Resident Evil, but then there's the people who came to that anime parody, and I feel like the majority of the 4,000 that I have is from the anime.
Yeah.
Because the anime community is always a frightening community when it comes to making abridged things. So I feel like the reception I get from video games just suddenly took a shadow, even though that's what I started as, and that's what I'm all about.
Yeah, I mean that I don't think you should ever let that affect what you want to make. You know, you're gonna have people, some of those original fans, some of the people that like were there for your video game stuff that'll wash over to your anime stuff and vice versa, and that's good. But you're just gonna have to know that that's not gonna be the majority. So I think you just need to find different audiences and make what you want, and the people that are into, you know, each individual thing will probably just follow that one thing, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But it'd be nice if everybody watched everything. That'd be great.
Right. Well, those are like my few true fans out there.
Yeah, and there's going to be fans out there that are just 100% loyal and dedicated to what you make, and they're going to follow you through whatever you make, unless you make something really dumb.
Like Wonderful A Day Valentine's?
Oh, wow.
Oh wow, that has 1.3k views. Amazing. Anyways,
See?
I think we've kind of derailed.
A few times this podcast.
Maybe. I think we've thoroughly covered everything Jazz wanted to ask.
Yep. We did it.
Ta-da!
We overdid it.
That's what we do. Now it's time for Alec's Funhouse.
Oh yeah.
Funnel House.
Oh shit! Wow,
What?
how did I fuck that up? It was right there.
You said like, yeah, okay, never mind. Right, let's play.
Hello, everyone. I want to play a riddle game.
Okay, so the game is called A Riddle Game.
Wow.
Oh no!
Look, I
What do
came
you
up with this, like,
mean
an hour
with
before
your
the
original
podcast.
game names?
Shut up. Anyway,
Ow.
the riddle game is where everyone gets one riddle video game related question that they must answer the question. But for double points, they have to tell me which video game did the question make a reference to.
Oh,
So,
fuck.
for example, if Halo 2 is company and Halo 3 is a crowd, what are Halo 4 and Halo 5?
Garbage.
And the answer is Halo 9.
Wait, what?
Because
4 plus 5.
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
So it's a math game. Oh,
So yeah, I'm going a bit old school. We're going back to the riddles just to piss Shaun off.
Wow.
Cody would be so mad.
Okay, so Jazz.
Fuck.
Shall we start with you? Okay. 3 men board the Queen Zenobia cruise ship. It
Oh my god.
capsizes.
It's Xenobaye.
Yeah, get it right.
Whatever. It capsizes, but only 2 men get their hair wet. Why?
Who were the 3 men?
Yeah, so 3.
What?
I'll say it again. 3 men board the Queen Zenobia cruise ship. It capsizes, but only 2 of the men get their hair wet. Why?
Because one of them's bald, and he's the evil Brit.
Nah.
Bald. But yeah, well done.
He's the evil
Yeah.
Brit.
So what was the reference?
A Pokemon Go. Fuck yourself.
Nailed it.
Wow.
It was a Resident Evil revelation.
Did you have to say it like that so you could cope? So you don't have to say e-renovations?
You know what? That's irrelevant.
Wow. Damn it.
It's
Okay.
the first time you
let's
were nice
do-
to me with a riddle.
Well, these are. I have to say, all these riddles are based on kids' riddles. Just so.
Oh wow.
Wow.
What are we,
Wow.
children to you?
Do you think we're children?
Yeah.
Right, Dante.
yeah.
Since you're
No. Yeah.
since you're the youngest, obviously.
Wow. Really? No, I'm older
So why'd
than
you
you.
start with me?
Well, women's first.
Oh, ladies first.
Women's.
Women's first.
Women's.
Equality, women's, not ladies.
Should have started with Sean. You're singling
Don't
me
you
out.
mean people
Let's
first?
make it worse.
Oh my god.
Go
My
down to go.
God.
Right, Dante.
No.
Why didn't the hot dog ending feature in any of the movies?
What the fuck? Hot dog ending feature in any of the movies. Because they don't like hot dogs.
I don't understand the question.
I'm not even sure what game he's talking about. Maybe
Brain's
vaguely.
trying to work with one.
Because the movies are also just fucking loosely adapted. I think this is a Silent Hill question.
Okay, you got the reference.
Great. Well, then there's a few answers I have. One, because the movies are off. They're like loose adaptations, and then Angela doesn't like hot dogs.
Okay. No.
Fuck you!
The answer to why didn't the hot dog ending feature in any of the movies is because the role was not good enough.
What?
The
The role for a hot dog.
We call them buns.
And that's been the game. This has been episode.
Sean!
I hated that. That was that. I can't even give you a good reaction. That was awful. Sean, you need to die with
Save
me.
Dante. Sean.
Oh, I will.
Okay, Sean, your question. What can be as big as a zombie elephant but weighs nothing?
Leon's dick.
Ooh! He's hung like a monster.
What can be as big as a zombie elephant but weighs nothing?
Air?
I think that was an error.
It's Ada.
Resident Evil Outbreak.
Yeah, so you got the reference.
Great.
Poopy. A bag
Really?
of dicks.
Really?
Alright, so that's wrong.
Oh.
Of course.
So to answer the question,
Got it.
First floor.
Okay, so the answer to the question, what can be as big as a zombie elephant but weighs nothing, is its shadow.
Fuck off.
It's Ada. It's Ada.
It's Ada's weight.
Yeah, because she doesn't have any because she doesn't wait.
The weight of your sins.
And that's the game.
I hope you guys
Man.
enjoyed the first and last iteration of this game.
Because it's about to get.
I
Fire.
missed the reactions of you guys when you...
Of course
get it
you
wrong.
do,
Like,
you
oh,
evil
God damn
bastards.
I never asked for this.
Okay, Adam. Get the fuck out of here.
No.
No. No?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
This has been episode 75. Thanks for coming by, everybody. If you enjoyed the show, consider kicking us $1 or $2 at patreon.com/awardproductions.
I thought you were gonna say kicking our balls.
I mean, don't do that. That's not nice. Equality. For as little as $1 a month, you could feed a starving ward staff member and save them from a life of poverty and despair.
If you don't,
This
if
has been a
everyone
message
donated
from Brandon.
$1,
If not, that's
Right
okay too. Just share our videos, tell your friends to check us out, and help us grow. Have yourself a great week, and we will see you next time.
bye-bye.
Ah!
Don't forget to write.